What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TOJ Talks. I'm your host, Will Parkinson, at WillPod11 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all 32. TOJ Pod, the whole 9 yards. Back from Indy. Slept for like 4 hours last night. No tequila in the system. Was a glorious sleep. Here with Paul and Dan. I think three or 4 days in a row. We basically just spent 5 days with each other nonstop, and it was fantastic. It was awesome to have you guys there. Obviously, Connor as well, although he's an A-list celebrity and was basically on TV for 9 hours and then would just crush steaks with us. Other than that, no other news in football. Tom Brady did not get cucked again. Oh wait, he did. No, we're gonna talk a little bit Shemar Stewart quickly about what possibility of him potentially at 7. And I know fans maybe not like that, but at least just address the elephant in the room there. We'll talk a little Rodgers. We'll talk a couple combine stories, and I'll drop a few kind of notebook things you hear around the league that could potentially affect the Jets. PK, I'll start with you. How you feeling back from Indy? And when you saw Shemar Stewart be the number 1 out of 1,800 defensive ends, the most athletic person that's ever tested at the combine, did you at least get a little excited, or you were like, God damn it, we're going down this path?
No, you know what? It is exciting. The combine was awesome. First off, like I had so much fun to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I can do my regular job anymore. Like I might have experienced like a pretty major shift in my life where I think I need to do this all the time now. Had a ton of fun. It was great to get to hang with you guys and as much exposure to Connor as we were able to get. And a really I think what shocked me the most was how, for lack of a better words, like the welcoming the community was. Like you're there and you just have like random people that you've seen on TV 100 times will just like talk to you, right? And there are certain ones that don't, who kind of like act like, whatever. But by and large, I would say the overwhelming amount of people that I met, like, and it's probably like you're wearing a credential, so you're in the club type thing. But I was shocked at how friendly everybody was and how kind of free flowing the information and the conversations are. So I had a great time. On Shemar Stewart, it's hard for me to not be excited about it because I was standing in between you two all week listening to it. So like, of course it rubbed off on me. And now like, I'm like intently watching this guy and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting all hyped up. The one thing that like scares me about the RAS score stuff is like, remember how high Kuntz was on the RAS score? And so like we've seen the athletic freaks in the past. Vernon Golston is another one that did nothing with insane athletic ability. And that's not to say that it's an indicator of good or bad. It's just to highlight the Jets PTSD that sits on top of everything we do all the time, of like remembering examples where it didn't work out. But geez, when you see that guy in person, when you see him talk, when you see the way he's constructed from a body standpoint without trying to sound weird, it's hard not to be excited about the possibility of him going a little earlier than people think and potentially even to the Jets.
Yeah, Dan, how about you?
Yeah, man, it was pretty electric. I think the the rise, I think, from a lot of what he was able to show at Senior Bowl as well, and then kind of tacking on this combine performance. A lot of people are going to go back to the tape if they weren't convinced previously. It's funny because I kind of scoured around to see what folks are feeling. There's a lot of people who went into it just like, I don't want to like this. Like, I don't want to like this tape. And then like, okay, let's go. Let me see how it goes. And a lot of them were just like, okay, there are moments here that don't make sense. Like physically, there are things he's able to do that do not make any sense. You see him moving laterally. You see the way he can bend sometimes. It's just like, it's a little clumsy. A lot of folks were like, okay, like look at the comparison to like Myles Garrett, which nobody should ever do just for sanity. But hopefully this makes people appreciate Myles Garrett a little bit more. But if you watch Myles Garrett on a day in and day out basis, like you see how natural he moves and how natural body movement is for him. It's just like slightly less natural, I think, for somebody like Stewart. But when you see him putting it together, like it's pretty electric. So this is not a situation where the athleticism that you're seeing on the track or at the combine is not what you see on tape. You absolutely do see it.
Yeah, look, I get the trepidation and the reservations people are going to have if the Jets do pick Shemar Stewart at 7. I get it. It's hard optically to look at, hey, the pass rush win rate is not as high as I'd like. Hey, like 4.5 sacks, what the fuck? I'd counter you with this, and again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm basing my opinion off my own eyes and just a lot of people around the NFL that I'm close with in different front offices, not just the Jets, that are like, hey, why convince me why he's not at a minimum or like a 50% like not hitting his ceiling, not his floor. Why is he not Jadeveon Clowney, NFL version of Jadeveon Clowney? 3 to 10 sacks ish a year, elite run defender, causes havoc, ton of pressures. Some years he finishes sacks, some years he doesn't. But everyone else around him eats, and then your team's pretty much flawless in the run game. I'd take that player at 7, especially in this draft. Again, I'm not telling you that it's a perfect pick because it's not. There's legitimate concern of, hey, is he ever going to put it together for a full 17 games, 60 minutes a game where like you see it all the time? Maybe not. Maybe he won't. He has an 86-inch wingspan, which is, it's just like, is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like he's made in a lab. He's an alien. And people were concerned about, hey, he dropped all this weight. He played at the Senior Bowl 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, 281, and looked the best he's ever looked. Against NFL guys, NFL tackles, Connerly, Zabel, all those guys were there. And the pass rush stuff was like, like he's kind of bendy. Like, what was that? Like, it's not just, I was telling Dan, like, it's the defending, like murdering guys on running tunnel screens where he reads it right away and just kills people. And again, he's not a perfect player. It would be a home run swing for sure. I'm totally on board with that. But if you listen to Aaron Glenn, and this is why we're talking about it, if you listen to Aaron Glenn, very specifically, might I add, he hit on violent players, guys who won, and while Texas A&M, choked with 4 or 5-star recruits that are going to go in the top 60 picks, that's a conversation for another day. But violent, fast, long arms, good vertical, wants to play hard, good head on their shoulders. That is Shemar Stewart. And a position of purely like, it's one of the most important positions. And if you gave me a guy who's automatically the most athletic person on the team, but is built to play the JFM role, like, I'm sorry, I'm at least considering it. Again, there's other guys, Tyler Warren specifically, who I would be like, hey, I get it. Playmaker, need to fix the offense. We'll address edge later in this draft, whatever. Just my point is, and kind of I think we're all on the same page. It may not be the perfect pick, but I would familiarize yourself that it's a very much a possibility. And if you look at the profile where he ranks, Marcus Davenport and him are on the same exact thing. He's 25 times the athlete that Marcus Davenport is, but the Saints traded like 800 picks to come up to pick 12 in a much better draft for Marcus Davenport, where Aaron Glenn was the DB's coach. So just as, again, it's just some comps of Danielle Hunter at 4.5 sacks. I know he's a 3rd rounder, but Danielle Hunter has gotten paid 3 times. I don't know if he'll ever turn out to be that. It's just at least things to consider. The most important news, I think, I was just hit on that real quick.
Yeah, so you kind of buried in the middle there, like maybe they'll address edge later in the draft. And I do want to present an alternative plan if they don't address edge at the front and they do want to do it later in the draft. The same guy who on our pod earlier this week, we said, told us about Steve Wilkes and said he's the greatest leader he ever encountered in his time in the NFL. That same guy spent that same night, I think in his words, evangelizing the importance of the 3-cone drill, right? He said it's the greatest predictor of success in the NFL on the defensive line, and he was going on and on and on about it. The best time currently in the 3-cone drill is Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College. He's an edge. He's from New Jersey. He was a 1/10 of a second better than pretty much everybody else that ran it so far. And he's like the 14th ranked edge in this class right now. So like that's a potential down the line value pick at edge that I'd be interested in them pursuing if they don't address it at the top of the first.
D, I know it's your boy.
You already know. When you get a Nigerian edge, first of all, it's already an immediate stock up from a culture standpoint. Big fan. The New Jersey thing is just icing on the cake. Truly, it would be electric. That would be such a great fit. A lot of the like size concerns, like at 6'2.5" is not bad, honestly. could be much worse, as a lot of other players had to deal with some of that. But yeah, man, the athletic scores are just off the charts. Everything was good. 35-inch verticals is pretty explosive. So, yeah, very exciting.
He's a little like Bryce Huffish in the projection of being like, I forget what word you described the other day, of like a pinch hitter. Like he just comes into rush passer. That's it, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Get another closer. It'd be great. It would be ideal.
Again, I will talk. There's going to talk a million different things. I'll have another episode early next week, and we'll talk more of like encapsulation with the combine. I just want to talk a little Stewart because I think it was the flavor of the day yesterday, just based on how he tested. And again, none of us are saying he's a perfect prospect. None of us are saying he's the home run pick at 7, but he's very much a possibility, and it's at least worth discussing. Aaron Rodgers today. Matt Stafford goes back to the Rams. The Rams again, Les Snead does what Les Snead does, and McVay, and they said, call your fucking bluff, dude. Like, you want to go to the Giants for $50 million a year? That sounds cool. Or do you want to play in a dome for 14 out of the 17 games and be with a proven head coach that you've won a Super Bowl with? And he rightly decided to come back. We'll see the contract, obviously, details, but it affects the Jets because seems as though the Giants are they were really adamant. Meet at Joe Shane's presser, he mentioned the need for a bridge quarterback no matter what. Even if they draft someone, seems like there's still a possibility they could trade up to 1. They've let that be known. Connor Hughes reported that earlier. I think Art Stapleton as well. But the bigger news, Diana Rossini amongst everybody else, I believe Schefter as well, said that the Giants and Breer, I think too, Giants and Rodgers, there's a lot of mutual interest. Seems as though Rodgers has reached out, his people. The Giants have interest. They would have interest in bringing Devontae as well. I'll say this, and I'll kick it to you guys. D, I'll go to you first, and then PK, I'll have you wrap on Rodgers. My monologue will be so much as this. I understand the allure of being in a desperation mode, saying our quarterback was Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito. Rodgers looked good at the end of the year. He's familiar with the market now. ROC is better because we have, and we have Malik Neighbors, and, we'll be able to kind of, hey, piece here. If we keep the 3rd pick, we can address a offensive line maybe. And like all those things make sense in a vacuum. Hey, Devontae and Neighbors, like who's stopping that? I had the same thoughts in 2023. I had the same thoughts when they acquired Devontae in 2024. Malik Neighbors is extremely temperamental. If you'd like him to request a trade by week 10, Garrett is like the most low-maintenance star receiver in the league, and it seemed like he was going to rip every last hair out of his body by the end of the season. Doesn't mean Rodgers is a bad teammate. We've talked about this a million times, and it's so annoying to have to continue to talk about this. Devontae is still an amazing player. Rodgers is still a half-decent quarterback and has moments where he looks really good. The difference is that the Giants' offensive line's a problem, a major problem. They're in a division with the best team in the NFL that's likely to acquire Myles Garrett on top of Jalen Carter and on top of, our boy Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith and Millen. Like, good luck, Michael Parsons in that division. Like, Rodgers doesn't move the same as he used to. Now, again, you're going to convince yourself as a Giants fan, likely. And I understand the emotion of we haven't won in a while. Look what I've just watched the quarterback. He at least gives us a shot every week. And you're probably not wrong to some extent. You're not. And I get I think we all understand those emotions. But it's a lame duck GM, a lame duck head coach, a desperate owner, and a fan base that is going to go like this and ride the wave of what Rodgers brings. I just don't like Darnold. To me would make so much more sense. Honestly, Fields would make more sense for the Giants. Or just trade up from 3 to 1, take Shador, take your lumps. It is and sign Russ, and you bench Russ by week 4, and you move on and you redo the Eli Kirk thing, like Kurt Warner thing. Like, I just don't really understand the move from the Giants' perspective. I get it for Rodgers. New York market. He gets to bring his boy. Doesn't have to sell his $10 million home. Neighbors and Devontae. You'll talk yourself into it. No one ever wins the NFC East back-to-back years, and like do the whole song and dance. Last thing I'll say on this, and I genuinely mean this. The Jets, in no way, shape, or form are you allowing the Giants to just sign Devontae and Rodgers. You want them? Cool. We will take your 3rd-round pick. people are going to roll their eyes at it. The Jets had zero leverage last year with getting Devontae. Hey, he only wants to come to us. It's the middle of the season. You're broke. Your star receiver doesn't want to play for you. And the Jets still ponied up a 3. If you even track back to Rodgers, no options. Same exact scenario as 2 years ago. This one's even crazier because quite literally has 0 options. He's under contract. The Jets have not cut him yet. He has not walked out of the building, right? He's still on the roster. Why do you just the Jets gave up 2 twos and a pick swap just because Shamar got mayo poured on his head by Joe Douglas. Like, the Jets, if they can find a way, and again, D, I'll kick it right to you and PK. I know you're Stu and you want to talk right here. Hey, even if it's a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, something, you should be holding on to them saying, you're not getting Devontae for free. Sorry, you're just not. We'll hold him and hold him and hold him until Devontae makes it so ugly the Giants have no choice. Who knows if it'll happen, but I get the emotions from Giants fans and Jets fans. Oh, don't let this happen. Saquon all over again. Dude, the Jets won 5 games last year. They're both gone anyways. If you can get something for them, honestly, I'd even take a 6th-round pick, just saying some type of compensation, right? They're not going to get a comp pick for either one. Dan, what are your thoughts? Then PK, I'll kick it to you.
I think the Jets should be milking the hell out of all of the incompetent sentiment that they are getting from last season. They should just even put some fake leaks out there, like, oh, Rodgers was so right about all the play calling. We just did it all wrong. Oh, such a good player.
I already got some. The Giants reached out to the Jets and said he was an exemplary teammate and had nothing bad to say.
Exactly. Like, just keep piling it on, please. This is perfect. There's so many things that
the Jets open a negotiating extension with Devontae Adams.
Exactly. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Wow. Like, who could have thought that this could have turned out positively? But man, yeah, honestly, like you said, if they can recoup anything, that should be their focus right now. This would be such a gift for Muji and just that entire front office of like guys that their job, like as former area scouts and everything like that, was to find guys in on day 3, the 3rd to 7th round. If you're going to get some picks there, or you can recoup anything for that, like, yeah, this is the set of guys who are going to be like, yeah, no, I'm going to go find a starter. Like, yeah, so like this is a perfect situation. Just be like, cool, we're going to move into our future while you try to make something happen there that we know cannot happen. I could not have seen this coming, truly.
I'm sitting over here doing the Grinch smile the entire time you guys are talking, because this is just the best thing that could have happened. This is the best possible outcome of like the back door to the Aaron Rodgers saga, right? Like the front door, like it didn't work, it sucked. But as far as an exit plan, it really doesn't get much better than this, and it does wonders for a theory that I am long documented on. I've mentioned it on many episodes. The Giants are the Jets. They are us. They're just in denial. They don't know it, but they are the Jets. The last 10 years, we are 2 identical franchises on slightly different timelines, and you can draw so many parallels, whether it be Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, or the coaches that have come through, or Malik Neighbors and Garrett Wilson. Like, there are so many parallels to these 2 franchises in the specific way that they have mangled the last 10 years of their history. And this is the perfect ending to it. And the best part for me about it is the absolute height of just cockiness of the Giants. It's who they are, right? It's we're big blue. We're a historic NFL franchise. You guys are the little brother. The height of that cockiness to say, didn't work for you. He's 42 years old. It'll work for us, right? It just does not get any better than that for me. And I cannot wait to see this move forward. And when it does, if it does, the Muji hands meme, the I receive, you receive, is going to go crazy. I can't wait for it. So please, by all means, take Aaron Rodgers, take Devontae Adams, and good luck with all that.
Yeah, when we get the Nate Hackett, if we get a Nate Hackett, who is no longer at the Jets, we get a Nate Hackett is named an offensive assistant, and look, again,